The city of Orion once shined like a silver jewel in the night sky. Its tall towers glowed with soft blue light, and its people lived in peace for many years. But tonight, the sky burned red. Smoke climbed high like dark snakes, and the ground shook under heavy footsteps. Everyone knew what those footsteps meant. The Gorgons had returned. Lyra, a young alien woman with pale gray skin and bright violet eyes, ran through the broken streets with fear in her heart. She held a small child's hand while two more followed close behind her. The roar of a giant echoed behind them, making the children cry louder. Lyra kept whispering, "It's okay. Keep running. Don't stop." But even she did not believe her own words. The Gorgons were living mountains, creatures made of stone, metal, and ancient magic. No soldier of Arion had ever stopped one. No wall had ever held one back, and now 10 of them marched through the city, crushing homes and people under their feet. Lyra turned a corner and pushed the children into an old storage building. She shut the door quickly and told them to stay silent. "I will come back," she whispered, though her voice shook like dry leaves in the wind. She stepped outside and looked up at the night sky. Fire rained down from burning airships. The city she loved was dying, and she felt powerless to stop it. Suddenly, the ground trembled again. A shadow covered her, growing larger and darker. Lyra slowly turned her head and saw a massive Gorgon standing behind her. Its eyes glowed like burning coal, and its breath sounded like a storm trapped inside a cave. The giant raised its stone fist high into the air. The fist was as big as a house, and it cast a long shadow over Lyra. She closed her eyes. Knowing her life was seconds away from ending, the air shook. A loud crack echoed across the street as the giant's fist came down with impossible speed. But the impact never reached her. She opened her eyes slowly, confused. The fist was still above her, but it was not moving. Something was holding it in place. A hand, a human hand. Lyra gasped and stepped back. Standing in front of her was a human man, tall and calm. He wore dark armor with glowing blue lines running across the chest. His hair was messy, his face was dusty, but his eyes were sharp like a blade. He held the Gorgon's giant fist with only one arm. Stopping it as if it weighed nothing, the Gorgon let out a shocked roar, confused that something so small had stopped its attack. The human looked up at the giant with a small smile. Then he said only 2 words, "My turn," with a strong push. He threw the Gorgon's arm aside. The massive creature stumbled back several steps, crashing into a broken tower and sending stones flying. Lyra was speechless. She had heard stories about humans. Weak creatures, soft creatures. Creatures that needed machines to fight. But this man was different. He stood like a warrior, moved like lightning, and held strength that no alien had ever seen. The Gorgon roared again and charged toward him. The human rushed forward too. The ground cracking under his steps, he jumped, spun, and delivered a punch that struck the giant's chest with a sound like thunder. The Gorgon fell on its back, shaking the entire block. Lyra covered her mouth in shock. Who was this human? How could he fight a monster like a god? The man landed softly and turned toward her. "You should get the children to safety," he said gently. His voice was calm, almost peaceful. Though the world around them burned, Lyra nodded, unable to speak. The man walked toward the fallen giant as if he had fought these creatures all his life. Firelight danced across his armor. Giving him an almost mythical look, the city roared with chaos. But he walked with complete confidence, as if he already knew the outcome of this battle for the first time that night. Lyra felt a spark of hope. Maybe the city was not lost. Maybe this human was the reason the lights of Orion had not died yet. And somewhere deep in the ruins, more Gorgons began to move, their eyes glowing brighter as they sensed a new enemy. A human, a threat they had never faced before. Asterisk, the giant gorgont lay on the ground with cracks running across its stone chest. Steam rose from its broken joints and glowing dust leaked from its wounds like fading fire. But the human warrior did not look tired. He only dusted his gloves and watched the creature carefully. Making sure it would not rise again, Lyra stood frozen, her heart beating fast as she stared at the man who had saved her life. She had never seen a human in person before. Humans were rare in the galaxy, and most people believed they were weak, quiet and afraid of danger, yet here stood a man who had stopped a monster with one hand. It felt impossible, like a legend walking out of an old story. The human finally turned toward her. His eyes glowed faintly blue, as if some hidden power was inside him. He gave her a small smile, gentle but confident. "Are you hurt?" he asked. Lyra shook her head slowly, unable to form words before she could speak. Another deep roar echoed through the burning streets. More gorgons were moving, their footsteps shaking the ground like rolling thunder. The human's expression changed from gentle to sharp. "We can't stay here," he said. "Take me to the survivors." Lyra hesitated. Still confused? "Who are you?" she finally asked. The man did not answer at first. He looked up at the smoke-filled sky as if searching for something. Then he spoke with a calm but heavy voice. "My name is Jace," he said. "I am not a normal human." Lyra blinked, her confusion growing stronger. Jace walked past her, moving toward the storage building where the children hid. His steps were steady and confident, even as flames rose around him. He opened the door and crouched down so the children could see his face. "It's safe now," he told them softly. "But we must move quickly." The children stared at him in fear and awe. They had never seen a human before either. One small boy whispered, "Did you really stop the giant?" Jay smiled and nodded. "Someone has to protect you," he said. "And today, that someone is me." Lyra watched him and felt something she had not felt all night. Trust as they began to move through the ruined streets. Lyra stayed close to Jace. He walked in front, scanning every shadow, every rooftop, every broken corner. It was like he could sense danger before it arrived. His armor glowed softly, reacting to the heat and smoke. Lyra finally gathered the courage to ask again. "What do you mean you are not a normal human?" Jace stopped walking. He looked at the children, then at Lyra, then at the burning city. Finally, he spoke. "There was a secret project on my homeworld," he said. "Project Titanborn. It was created to fight monsters like the Gorgons." Lyra frowned, trying to understand. "So, you were made to fight?" she asked. Jace nodded. "We were trained from birth," he said. "Enhanced, changed, improved. Humans were once weak, yes, but not anymore." Lyra felt a cold shiver run through her. She had heard rumors of human experiments, but she never believed them. Now, standing beside a man who fought giants with his bare hands, she understood those rumors were true, but another question burned inside her mind. "Why are you here?" she asked. "Why save us?" Jace's face softened. "Because your world is in danger," he said. "And danger like this never stays in one place. If the Gorgons destroy Arion, they will destroy other worlds next. My mission is simple," he added. "Protect anyone who cannot protect themselves." They continued walking until they reached an old shield bunker where survivors hid. The bunker door opened slightly, showing tired and frightened faces inside. When they saw Jace, they stepped back in surprise. A human warrior standing at the entrance of a destroyed city was not something they expected to see. An elder alien approached and stared at Jace with wide eyes. You fought a Gorgon," he whispered. Jace only nodded. The elder bowed his head. "Then maybe there is hope," he said, his voice shaking, but before anyone could speak more, a loud metallic scream tore through the city. The walls trembled. Dust fell from the ceiling. And children cried again. Jace stepped forward, eyes sharp. "That sound means something bigger is coming," he said. "Something that should not be here." Lyra looked at him with fear. "What do you mean?" she asked. Jace's voice turned cold. "The Gorgons didn't come on their own," he said. "Someone sent them." The survivors stared at him with confusion and fear. Jace clenched his fists as another roar shook the ground. "We are not fighting monsters," he said. "We are fighting the one who controls them, and somewhere in the burning city." Hidden in shadows, a pair of glowing red eyes opened. Watching Jace with deadly interest, the Overseer now knew he was here. And the real battle was about to begin. The bunker doors closed behind the survivors. But the sound did not bring comfort. Instead, the heavy metal echoed like a warning inside the dark shelter. Children cried softly, elders whispered prayers. And fear filled the stale air. In the middle of this sphere stood Jace, the strange human warrior who had turned the tide of a hopeless battle. Lyra watched him as he scanned the bunker with sharp, calm eyes. He looked like he could see danger even through walls. His armor glowed faintly, reacting to the tension around him. Everyone stared at him with a mix of hope and disbelief. A human saving their world was something no one expected. Finally, Lyra stepped forward, her voice trembling but steady enough to speak. "You said someone sent the Gorgons," she said. "Who could control monsters like that?" Jace turned his gaze toward her, his expression thoughtful and dark. "There is only one being who has done this before," he said. The Overseer, a quiet gasp, passed through the bunker. Stories of the Overseer were told for generations. But no one believed they were real anymore. He was a shadow from old legends, a creature who used machines and giants to crush weaker worlds. If he had returned, then everything was worse than they imagined. Lyra stepped closer to Jace, confusion filling her eyes. "How do you know about him?" she asked. "Humans never came to our world before." Jace's body stiffened slightly, as if remembering something painful. "Because Project Titanborn was created to stop him," he said. The room went silent. Even the crying children quieted down. Lyra stared at him. Waiting for the truth he carried like a heavy weight on his shoulders. Jace took a slow breath and finally began to speak. "My world was peaceful, just like yours," he said. "But when the Overseer destroyed 3 human colonies, everything changed. The leaders of Earth formed Project Titanborn to create warriors strong enough to face monsters like the Gorgons. We were trained, enhanced and reshaped from the day we were born." Lyra felt the air grow colder. "You were made a soldier from childhood," she whispered. Jace nodded quietly. "We did not have a normal life," he said. "No games, no families, no peaceful days, only training, discipline, and survival." He looked at his hands, still covered with dust and glowing cracks from stopping the giant. "We were told that humans could become something greater," he said, "stronger, faster, perhaps even equal to the monsters destroying our worlds. But there was a cost." Lyra felt her heart tighten. "What kind of cost?" she asked. Jace's voice dropped lower. "We lost much of our humanity," he said. "Our bodies changed, our minds hardened, and our emotions became difficult. We were not meant to blend into normal life." The survivors listened with wide, frightened eyes. A man created to fight monsters sounded like a story. Not reality, but Jace was right in front of them. Living proof of what humans had become. Suddenly, the bunker lights flickered. A low rumble echoed through the underground walls. Jace immediately moved to the door, placing his ear against the cold metal. He closed his eyes, focusing completely. Lyra watched him, amazed by how quickly he shifted from calm to battle-ready. He stepped back from the door. "There are 3 Gorgons outside," he said. The survivors gasped in terror. "How do you know?" Lyra asked. Jace pointed at his temple. Titanborn enhancements, he said. I can sense vibrations, heat signals, and movement before anyone could speak. A deep metallic voice echoed across the bunker from a hidden speaker. The survivors froze, their faces turning pale. The voice was cold, hollow, and filled with cruel amusement. Titanborn Unit J7, it said, I have been looking for you. Lyra felt every bone in her body turn to ice. Jace clenched his jaw tightly. It's him, he said. The Overseer, the voice continued. You have left your precious Earth without permission. You protect weak worlds that should fall. You disappoint me. Jace, the survivors stared at Jace in shock. The Overseer knew him by name. That meant their enemy was not just attacking the city. He was personally hunting the human who protected them. Jace stepped forward and spoke clearly. I won't let you destroy another world, the Overseer laughed. A sound like metal grinding against stone. You cannot stop me, the voice said. You are only one soldier. Lyra looked at Jace. Fear in her eyes, but Jace did not step back. He stood tall. The blue lines on his armor burning brighter. One soldier is enough, he said softly. His hands closed into fists, ready for the coming battle, outside. The ground shook again as the Gorgons moved closer. The Overseer's voice faded. But his presence remained heavy, like a storm waiting to strike. The survivors clung to one another in fear. Lyra stepped closer to Jace. Her voice steady despite her shaking hands. What do we do now? She asked. Jace's eyes glowed with fierce determination. Now, he said. We fight back, and the bunker walls trembled as the monsters outside prepared to break in. The real war for Orion had only just begun. The bunker walls shook again. Harder this time, dust fell from the ceiling. And frightened whispers filled the air, outside. The heavy steps of Gorgons echoed like a slow heartbeat of destruction. Lyra felt her legs weaken. But she forced herself to stand tall beside Jace. Everyone looked to him. The strange human warrior who had become their only hope. Jace stepped toward the sealed bunker door and placed his hand against the metal. His fingers glowed faint blue as he focused. He closed his eyes, sensing vibrations through the thick steel. There are 3 Gorgons outside, he said quietly. But they are waiting for something. Lyra frowned. Waiting for what? She asked. Jace's jaw tightened. For him, he answered. The Overseer, the survivors, gasped softly. Hearing that name spoken aloud made the air feel colder. Legends described the Overseer as a ghost of war. A being who controlled machines and monsters with ease. Some said he was not alive anymore. Others said he was more than alive, a mind that never died. But now, the legends seemed to be standing right outside their city. Lyra stepped closer to Jace. You said the Overseer destroyed human colonies, she whispered. Why would he come here? Jace turned to face her, his eyes serious. Because he's searching for something, Jace said. And your world is hiding it. The survivor group murmured nervously. Lyra looked confused and scared. Hiding what? She asked. Jace shook his head slowly. I don't know exactly, he said, but the Overseer only sends Gorgons when he wants to dig, break, or uncover something ancient. He began pacing. Thinking fast. When I arrived, he said. I felt strange energy under the city. Old energy, as if this world is sitting on a secret. Before Lyra could reply, a loud metallic strike hit the bunker door. Everyone jumped back in fear. The children cried and hugged one another. Another strike followed, deeper and stronger, causing the floor to shake. A Gorgon was trying to break in. Jace raised his hand, signaling everyone to stay calm. His glowing eyes locked onto the door. They're testing the steel, he said. But they're not attacking full power yet. They are waiting for the Overseer's command. The elder survivor stepped forward. Trembling, "What does he want from our world?" he asked. Jace turned to him with a serious expression. "He wants whatever is buried beneath your city," he said. "Something powerful enough that even my people feared it." The elder's face became pale like ash. "There are old tunnels under Orion," he said. "Tunnels built by the first ones. No one goes there anymore. Some say the first ones had technology that even modern worlds cannot understand." Jace stopped pacing. "That's it," he said. "The Overseer wants first one technology, if he gets it. He will be unstoppable." Lyra stared at him in disbelief. "So this is not just about our world," she said. Jace nodded slowly. "No," he said. "This is about the entire galaxy. If the Overseer gains that power, millions of worlds will fall." Another heavy smash hit the door. This time, a deep crack appeared in the metal. The survivors backed away in terror. Jace stepped forward, his armor glowing brighter, shifting from blue to silver. His voice was steady once they break in. "Stay behind me," he said. "I will handle them." Lyra grabbed his arm suddenly. "You can't fight 3 Gorgons alone," she said. "You barely fought one." Jace looked at her with a small, calm smile. "I didn't say I would fight them alone," he said. He placed his hand over his chest plate. A soft hum filled the bunker, like a sleeping giant waking up inside his armor. He whispered something under his breath. The lines on his armor brightened further, shifting into a new pattern she had never seen before. "What is that?" Lyra asked. Jace answered without looking away from the door. "A Titan-born protocol," he said. "A high-level ability, but I haven't used it in years. It might break me." Lyra felt her heart drop. "But you're still going to risk it," she said softly. Jace nodded. "If I don't," he said, "everyone here dies." The bunker door bent inward with a loud metallic scream. Stone dust filled the air as a massive hand pushed through the crack. A glowing Gorgon eye peered inside, searching for its prey. The survivors screamed. Lyra stepped back, pulling the children behind her. Jace cracked his neck slowly, then clenched his fists. "Lyra," he said, "when the door breaks, take everyone to the lower tunnels." Lyra's voice trembled. "What about you?" she asked. Jace smiled. But this time there was no calm in his expression, only fire. "I'm going to remind the Overseer," he said, "that humans are not weak." The final strike hit the door. Metal shattered like glass, and the Gorgons roared as they forced their way inside. Jace stepped forward, armor glowing like a rising star. The bunker filled with blinding blue light. The battle for the city was about to begin. The bunker shattered with a deafening roar. Metal pieces flew across the room, and dust flooded the air like thick fog. The 3 Gorgons forced their way inside, their glowing eyes searching for Jace. The survivors screamed. But Jace moved before fear could control them. A bright blue flash burst from his armor. The Titan-born protocol activated fully, shining like a star trapped in human form. The shockwave pushed the survivors backward, but the Gorgons leaned forward. Roaring in challenge, Jace stepped out of the bunker, drawing the giants away from the people. "Go," he shouted to Lyra. "Take them now." Lyra nodded. Even though her heart twisted with fear, she turned to the survivors and pointed toward the back wall. "There's a collapsed tunnel behind the crates," she said. "It leads underground." The survivors hurried through the dark passage, children crying softly, elders trembling with every step. Lyra stayed behind for a moment, watching Jace in the doorway. His armor glowed brighter with each breath, as if burning from the inside. He looked like a warrior carved from light, preparing to face monsters made of stone. Then he charged, and the fight erupted outside the bunker. Lyra forced herself to turn away and follow the others. She whispered to herself, "Stay alive." Jace, the tunnel behind the bunker, led them deeper underground. The air grew colder, the walls turning from metal to ancient stone. Symbols began appearing along the passage, glowing faintly with soft gold light. Lyra recognized none of them. These were not Aryan markings. They belonged to the first ones, as the survivors reached a large cavern. The ground vibrated with distant shocks. Every tremor reminded Lyra that Jace was fighting for them above. She tried to stay calm, but worry clawed at her chest. The cavern opened into a wide, circular hall. Tall pillars carved with glowing runes rose from floor to ceiling. A faint hum echoed through the space. Like an ancient machine waking after thousands of years, the elder survivor stepped forward. His voice weak with disbelief. This place. It was only a story, he whispered. The labyrinth of the first ones. Lyra walked toward the center of the chamber, feeling strange warmth from the glowing floor patterns. It reacts to something, she said, maybe to us. But when she stepped closer, the light faded again, confusing her completely. Then a strong tremor shook the entire cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling, and the survivors cried out. Lyra spun toward the tunnel entrance. Certain the Gorgons were breaking in, but instead, a different figure stepped out of the shadows, a tall shape, limping. Breathing heavily, armor cracked, fists bleeding light. Jace, Lyra gasped, rushing toward him. He collapsed to one knee, exhausted but alive. His armor flickered as the Titanborn protocol struggled to stay active. They won't follow us down here, he said, voice weak but steady. This place confuses them. Lyra helped him stand. Worry filling her eyes. You shouldn't have come alone, she said. Jace gave her a faint smile. And let you wander into ancient tunnels without protection, he said. Not happening. The survivors gathered around as Jace slowly walked into the center of the chamber. The glowing symbols on the pillars brightened instantly. Lyra stared in shock. It reacts to you, she said. Why? Jace looked around the hall, eyes narrowing as if recognizing something. These markings, he said. I've seen them before in Titanborn training labs, the elder frowned. But these ruins are older than any human civilization, he said. How could your people know these symbols? Jace knelt beside one of the glowing patterns. His armor hummed louder, resonating with the ancient structure. When I was a child, he said, scientists told us Titanborn enhancements were made from old technology. Technology discovered in ruins scattered across the galaxy. But they never said where the technology came from. He touched the stone floor, and a pulse of light spread across the chamber. The pillars shifted slightly, rotating as the runes changed color. A soft mechanical sound echoed, and the floor sank downward, revealing a new staircase spiraling into darkness. Lyra stepped back in awe. You opened it, she whispered. Jace shook his head. No, he said. It responded to Titanborn energy. This means the first ones and early humans may be connected. The elder's voice trembled. Then whatever lies below, he said, might be the key the overseer wants. Jace stood tall again, his energy stabilizing slightly. That's why we must reach it first, he said. If the overseer gets there before us, he will become unstoppable. A low metallic whisper echoed from the staircase below. Chilling everyone's spine, it sounded like a sleeping machine breathing, or a forgotten power calling out to them. Lyra stepped beside Jace. We go together, she said. Jace nodded. Stay close, he replied. The survivors followed slowly as they descended into the ancient heart of the labyrinth, not knowing that something far older than the Gorgons waited in the darkness below. And above them, the overseer's red sensors scanned the city ruins. Unable to find Jace yet, but hunting him with growing obsession. The deeper they went, the more the labyrinth awakened. And the true secret of Arian's past began to rise from the shadows. The staircase spiraled deep into the earth. The air growing colder with every step, strange lights shimmered along the walls, glowing softly like stars trapped in stone. Lyra felt each breath tighten in her chest as she followed Jace. She could sense danger waiting below, something older and darker than the Gorgons. Jace moved with careful steps, hand brushing the wall. His armor pulsed with faint blue energy, reacting to the ancient symbols that lined the passage every time he touched a marking. It glowed brighter, as if recognizing him, as if remembering him. The survivors followed slowly, whispering in fear. The deep hum of the labyrinth grew louder, shaking the floor gently. It felt like the entire underground structure was waking up after thousands of years. Lyra finally asked in a quiet voice, "Jace, what do you think is down here?" Jace did not look back. "Something powerful," he said. "Something the Overseer wants more than anything," before Lyra could ask more. The passage opened into a massive underground chamber. The ceiling stretched high into darkness, supported by huge pillars carved with moving runes. In the center of the chamber stood a giant stone machine. Towering like a silent god, it looked alive but asleep. Covered in dust and glowing cracks, Jace stepped forward carefully. "This is a First One relic," he said. "It's not a weapon. It's something else." The survivors spread out, staring at the size of the ancient structure. Some prayed, others trembled. The entire chamber felt heavy with history, as if the walls remembered every war that ever happened in this galaxy. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. Stones fell from above, and the children screamed. Jace spun around, eyes glowing bright as he scanned the shadows. "They're here," he said. "Something big is coming." A deep roar echoed from the tunnel behind them. A roar far louder and deeper than any Gorgon they had heard before. The survivors ran behind pillars. Hiding in terror, Lyra grabbed Jace's arm, feeling her heart hammering in panic. "What is that?" she whispered. Jace exhaled slowly. "A Kinclass Gorgon," he said. "Bigger, stronger, and almost impossible to kill." The ground cracked as a massive figure crawled into the chamber. It was twice the size of a normal Gorgon, its body covered in glowing red cracks and thick black armor. Its eyes blazed like burning suns. Each step made the chamber shake like thunder. Lyra stepped back, breath caught in her throat. The Kinclass roared, shaking dust from the pillars and splitting the stone floor. Jace stepped forward alone, his armor humming louder with each breath. His voice steady despite the monster towering over him. "Get everyone behind the relic," he said. "I'll buy you time." Lyra grabbed his arm, eyes full of fear. "You can't fight that alone," she said. Jace gave her a soft, tired smile. "I was made for this," he said. "But this thing might break me." The Kinclass charged. The ground split beneath its massive feet, sending cracks racing across the chamber. Jace activated the Titanborn protocol again. Blue flames erupted from his armor, wrapping around his fists and legs. He launched himself forward, meeting the monster halfway. The impact shook the entire hall, sending shockwaves through the air. Lyra felt her knees buckle as the blast of energy pushed her backward. Jace struck the giant across the face, sending sparks and stones flying, but the Kinclass barely stumbled. It reached down with its massive hand and slammed Jace into the floor. The survivors screamed. Lyra covered her mouth in horror. Jace forced himself back to his feet, armor cracking along the chest. He wiped blood from his lip and smiled at the giant. "Is that all?" he whispered. The giant roared again and swung its massive fist at him. Jace dodged barely in time, rolling across the floor and leaping back into the fight. He moved like lightning, striking its legs, arms, chest. Each punch exploded with blue energy, but the Kinclass was stronger than anything he had faced. It grabbed Jace midair and hurled him against a pillar. The stone cracked from the impact. Lyra ran a few steps toward him before stopping. She wanted to help, but she knew she could not fight a monster made of stone and fire. Jace pushed himself up again. Coughing but determined, his armor flickered. barely holding together. He closed his eyes for 1 second, then whispered. Titan surge. His entire body erupted in bright blue-white light. The floor cracked beneath him, the air shook with power. Even the king class paused, sensing the danger. Jace shot forward with impossible speed. His fist struck the giant's chest with a blast like a collapsing star. The giant roared in agony as cracks spread across its body. Glowing brighter and brighter, Jace delivered one final strike to its core. The chamber filled with blinding light when the glow faded. The king-class Gorgant collapsed in pieces. Shaking the ground with its fall, Jace dropped to his knees. Breathing hard, armor nearly shattered. Lyra ran to him, tears in her eyes. You did it, she whispered. Jace looked up at her, exhausted but smiling. We're not done yet, he said, because whatever the Overseer wants, it's still below us and deep beneath the relic. Something ancient stirred, awakening slowly. As if answering the battle above, the chamber shook with the echo of the king-class giant's fall. Dust drifted down from the ceiling like falling snow. The survivors remained silent. Frozen in awe and fear, Lyra knelt beside Jace, who was still breathing heavily, armor cracked and glowing faintly. He looked exhausted, but alive. That alone felt like a miracle. Jace pushed himself to his feet slowly. His bones ached, his body trembling from overuse of Titan-born energy, but he forced himself to stand tall. The fight was not over, not yet. Lyra touched his arm gently. You need to rest, she whispered. Jace shook his head. If I rest now, he said. The Overseer wins. The ancient relic at the center of the chamber began to hum. Soft, golden light spread across its surface, growing brighter with each passing second. The glowing cracks along its structure pulsed like a heartbeat. Lyra stepped closer, feeling the air grow warmer. It's waking up, she said, her voice trembling. What do we do, Jace? Walked toward the relic with slow, steady steps, despite his injuries. The lines on his armor responded to the relic's energy, glowing brighter. The survivors stepped back nervously as the ground vibrated beneath their feet. A deep voice echoed from somewhere inside the ancient machine. A voice neither human nor alien, but something much older. Titan-born detected. The voice said, authorization. Accepted. Jace froze. Lyra stared in disbelief. The first ones knew about Titan-born, she whispered. Jace shook his head slowly. No, he said. Titan-born were created thousands of years after the first ones disappeared. So how could they recognize me? The relic shifted. Stone plates sliding apart with smooth mechanical motion. A staircase formed, descending into a glowing core chamber. Golden mist rose from the steps like ancient air being released after ages. Jace turned to Lyra. This is what the Overseer is after, he said. And we must reach it before he does. They moved downward. Deeper into the relic's heart, the walls shimmered with shifting symbols. Each symbol glowed brighter whenever Jace walked past, as if the labyrinth itself welcomed him at the bottom of the staircase. They entered a circular hall filled with floating crystals. The crystals projected holograms of ancient humans fighting beside strange beings of light. Lyra gasped. This changes everything, she said. Humans and the first ones were allies. Jace stared at the holograms with wide, shocked eyes. He saw warriors who looked like him. Strengthened humans, enhanced humans. Humans who could fight monsters like equals. This is where Titan-born came from, he whispered. My people didn't create the program from scratch. We only repaired forgotten knowledge before Lyra could answer. The chamber darkened suddenly. A cold red light filled the air. A familiar voice echoed around them like metal scraping against bone. So, the Overseer said, you have found the truth. Lyra spun around, searching the chamber in panic. There was no body, no machine, no creature behind the voice. Only the holograms flickering violently. Jay stepped in front of her protectively. His armor flickered but tried to brighten. "Show yourself," he demanded. The red light formed into a towering hologram of the Overseer. A dark figure with no face, only swirling red energy. It stood taller than a Gorgon, watching them with silent hatred. "Titanborn," the Overseer said. "You were created using my stolen technology." Jace's fists clenched. "That's a lie," he growled, but the Overseer only laughed. A hollow, chilling sound that echoed through the chamber. "I ruled this galaxy long before your species learned to walk," the Overseer said. "The first ones stole my designs, turned them into weapons, and hid their secrets underground. And now you, a child of my broken technology, stand before me." Lyra felt her knees weaken. "Jace," she whispered. "What does he mean?" Jace did not answer. He stared at the Overseer with burning eyes. Trying to understand the truth, the Overseer continued. "That relic holds the last key to my awakening," he said. "Once I claim it, I will reshape every world." Suddenly, the relic glowed bright gold, resisting the Overseer's influence. The chamber shook violently. A protective barrier appeared around Jace and Lyra. The relic spoke again in its ancient voice. "Titanborn chosen," it said. "You must protect the core." The Overseer's hologram flickered with fury. "You cannot stop me," he roared. "My armies are already on the move, above the ground." The city trembled as hundreds of Gorgons awakened from the hills. A storm of glowing red eyes filled the horizon. The Overseer's invasion had begun. Jace stared at the rising hologram with fierce determination, his energy low, his armor broken. But his spirit unshaken, he cracked his knuckles slowly. "Let them come," he said, "because this time, I'm ready." The relic sealed the chamber as the war for the galaxy officially began. And deep within the heart of Orion, the true power of the Titanborn finally awakened.